was cool.
Pumped, Aaron. Are you pumped?
That was great. That was the best intro so far. So of anything I've been on. So yeah,
Oh,
it
well,
was pretty
hey,
rad.
hey, thank you. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, my brother. What is going on? All my horror movie maniacs out there watching, all my horror anthology fans. It's your boy, PhatSamuraiGuy, back again with another episode. That's right, hanging out in the movie dojo. Legend. That's right, filmmaker, writer, producer, director. He's done it all. That's right, the CEO and founder of Paper Street Pictures, Aaron B. Koontz. Welcome to the channel, my friend.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it's a blast to be here. And we've been talking about this for a minute. So I'm glad to finally be on and chat with you. So love the enthusiasm too, which is fun.
Oh, that's Samurai Guy. That's me, man.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh my
It's great.
goodness. Oh, who we got? We got some people in the chat here. We got some people saying hello. There we go. It says hello, Fat Samurai Guy and Aaron B. Coates. That's right. In the movie Dojo Army, got people saying hello there. All right. And we have the radical one, Radical Reggie. He said he was yo. Well, you're here in chat, my friend. You're here in chat. Thanks for tuning in.
Oh, and
We
he's
appreciate
rad.
that. So, what's going on?
He's rad. So
Illumini.
rad fits in, you know?
That's right.
Rad
There you
fits in
go.
with Rad
That's
Shad.
right.
So yeah, we're all good.
Rad fits. That's right. Rad. But yeah, it's good to see everybody here popping in, slowly trickling in. And we're going to have some fun here talking horror with my man, Aaron. Before we get started, man, I thought we have a little bit of fun once we get started and talk about some of the projects that you've produced. And then we'll go into your directed projects, and we'll lead right in. The Samurai Guy likes to build it up. We'll get to the meat, and we'll end with scare package trick boo. That's right. But before we get started, what got you into filmmaking, man?
God, I mean, I think it was a book that my aunt had, or someone in my family had, that was Jaws. It had some behind the scenes photos of people making movies, and there was a picture talking about Jaws. And I saw Spielberg. I didn't know who he was at the time. I just saw this guy with a megaphone and a hat, and I was like, "Who's that? Like, who's that guy?" And then they explained, like, "Oh, that's the director. Like, that's who puts all this together." And then I realized that these movies that I loved had someone like make. I just they kind of seem like magic to me, and I guess they're still magic in many ways, right? But I just didn't think about how they're put together, you know. And I realized there could be this force that kind of like puts these out into the world, and I immediately was just kind of gravitated toward that, you know. And I've dabbled in photography. I love writing, you know, and I think and I love music, and I started kind of combining some of those interests together. And you know, film really is this like unique amalgamation of like all these different trades and all these different artistic endeavors. And so yeah, it was always a thing. But then, you know, life happened, and you're like, you can't actually make it as a filmmaker, and you go off to school. I was going to go to medical school and all this different stuff. I worked in the game industry for a long time. I worked in tech. I did everything but pursue what I loved. And then finally, you know, it wasn't until I was in my late 20s, and I was like, you know what, I have to do something about this. And, you know, decided to get a couple friends together and start writing shit, you know. And we made our first short films, and that was a little over a decade ago. Yeah.
Nice. Did it start with this movie right here?
That's so funny. That's that poster. It's so that, you know, I will say that movie is probably one of the biggest influences in the scare package world, and like what really, because that was where Jeremy King and I started, who plays Rad Chad. We started working together, and that's the first rendition of a Buckley. So he plays Padre Buckley, and he's got a bolo tie. And so that's where that all started.
All right.
And kind of evolved. Right. But no, there was another short before that called Malevolence. That's not very good. But that was, I think, my second short.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, it's fine. I think it's good I made another short film, but no one will ever see that I think is awful. And then you got to just kind of like work through stuff and like find your voice. You just experiment and try. Like, I just wanted to get my friends together, throw some blood around, you know, challenge myself to do different styles and tones. and Chupacabra became, and that's why it's the L. That's deliberate. It's that silly. Um, so the L, Chupug
Right,
Cabra, because
right,
it's about my
right.
pug turning into a Chupacabra, who was just my editor. The editor on Scare Package 2 is the guy who turned into the pug in that movie.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah. It's
I have to see this
Jeremy
now.
and
I have to see this.
it's there's like a really good killing montage that's all played to
Okay.
uh what is it Mickey by Tony Basil. Her Mickey in Spanish, and it's a killing montage with that song playing. Mickey, hey Mickey, you're so fine, you blow my mind, like,
Yeah, yeah,
and we're
yeah,
like
yeah.
editing to the
Oh,
beat of that with like
perfect.
kills and blood and all that. Other than that, it's not
Oh, that's
it's not too
hilarious.
great, but
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
so fun though, like doing that shit was so fun.
Yeah,
So that really kind of opened up
yeah.
a world for us, in the horror comedy space, and what we started to do.
Nice, nice. And we love our horror comedies here on the channel for sure, man. Return of the Dead, the Evil Dead 2. I mean, we love that stuff.
Oh yeah,
But yeah, let's talk about some projects you've produced here. Starry Eyes.
yeah, yeah. That was like my first.
Man, that was a great movie.
It's fantastic. Yeah, Dennis and Kevin killed it, and Travis Stevens, who's the lead producer on that, I learned a lot from him, and that was a movie that really kind of taught me. I learned a lot about how to make a low budget feature film and make it good, and like how to the
Yeah,
phrase
yeah.
put the dollars on the screen, and what we could do there. So
There
that
you
was
go.
kind of my first foray into that a little bit, and I was really just kind of a bystander. I was learning. I was helping in any way I could. And Dennis and Kevin went on to do Pet Cemetery after that, and they've got another beautiful thing they're working on, and so it's cool. But yeah, that was like my kind of first like real steps into like real feature length horror that I could learn from, and I thought there was a model here that we could follow, and that credit goes to Travis Stevens in particular, who kind of showed me the ropes a little bit.
Yeah, that's a great movie. That's awesome that you were part of that. And the lead actress, could we could just give her the Oscar
Yeah,
for her
right, Alex
performance in that
Esso.
movie, man.
Yeah, yeah.
So
It's weird. I
good.
just came full circle, and I just worked with Alex on a movie called Trim Season that's coming out the later this year. And I remember when we saw her
Nice.
audition, it just blew us away. We wanted an unknown, for the lead in
Right.
Starry Eyes, and that was again Dennis, Kevin, and Travis who really kind of found her, and I was like blown away when I saw what she could do, and I'm so glad to see her, working with Mike Flanagan now, and just like often doing these amazing things, and
Yeah.
it's always a good
Yeah.
feeling, you feel like you help discover someone and give them a platform, and then seeing those people, off and doing bigger and better things is such a great thing to be a part of.
Nice. Nice. Now I have to click on a few of these that I have not seen. Now this just looks and sounds hilarious. What's
It's
this one
funny.
about?
It's funny. So
Okay.
the original title of that was The Vice Guide to Bigfoot, but Vice wanted to sue us, so they had to change the title. And that's
Oh,
my pals Zach and Tim who made this, and they're these improv comedic guys, and they want it's basically like a Vice story where they're going to investigate. Is Bigfoot real? And it's like this hipster dude, and he's like so
right, right,
upset
right.
upset with everything, and then they find maybe a real Bigfoot, and it goes haywire. And that movie, it's playing on Showtime right now.
Okay.
So honestly, I'm glad you brought it up because nobody talks about
Oh,
that. And I just EP'd it. We didn't, we weren't start to finish making that movie. I was just an executive producer, but I love what they did, and it's so funny. That movie's so funny.
oh, I gotta
So
see it.
I'm proud to have a part. Yeah, yeah, it's a cool little film, and I thought they did something great for no money on that. Yeah, it's a blast.
Nice. That's perfect because I actually have Showtime, so I can check it out for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's gonna
worth
be
worth
hilarious.
seeing. Yeah, worth seeing
Nice.
for sure.
Now this just wild.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So
Is it
that's so
wild?
so it is. So that poster artist, by the way, is the same poster artist who did Scare Package. That's Mark Schoenbach of Sadist Designs,
Nice.
and I brought him in to do this poster. And yeah, I mean that's John Valley. So I'm based in Austin, Texas, and John is this super talented filmmaker, and he was in the middle of finishing up this movie, and he came to me and he's like, we don't really know what to do. We're trying to figure out what to come in. And I came in and post and was like, look, here's how we can wrap this up, and helped him kind of like get it out there to the world. And I thought it was awesome, but it's a satirical take on what if the guy who went to shoot up Pizzagate, like it really happened, like, and it went through with some of this, and the journey of like the way he got indoctrinated and all this. It's not like a QAnon film, but it is about conspiracy theories. It is about all this,
Yeah.
but it's like grindhouse movie. Like that's the way I think of it. It's kind of like this grindhouse, like 70s art exploitation kind of thing. But
Nice.
that
All
movie's
right.
gnarly. I mean, it was God, I want to say it was like Vice, oddly, in a weird, ironic twist, the Vice company that actually gives reviews said it was the best movie about the Trump era in the Trump era. But it's not like meant to be political in that way. It's interesting. Like I
Right.
encourage people to check it out, but it's a gnarly movie. Yeah, I think it used to be called Dunk
Okay.
It. That was the original title. Yeah,
I gotta check it out. This is wild.
yeah, it's fun.
Samurai Guy will check it out for sure.
Yeah,
Man, there's so many Shutter exclusives and projects that you were a part of that came out last year, man. Congratulations. I was like, holy crap.
yeah, yeah. We had a
This
lot.
this one right here, would this be considered Alicia Silverstone's first like horror thriller?
I mean, maybe, man, that movie was such a challenge. I will say, so look, I'm proud of things that we accomplished on that movie for the budget,
Okay.
but
I
man,
saw you
this,
shaking your head there for a second.
well, it's a movie that at Paper Street we want to forget. Let's just put it that way. But I will say
Oh,
this:
okay. I'm sorry I brought it up
Alicia,
then.
no, 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 absolutely.
Okay, okay,
Alicia
okay.
was wonderful. James Tupper,
All right.
wonderful.
Okay.
I got to go back to Florida. I made that at Universal Studios in one of their water parks, and we built
Oh, shoot.
an 8.5 foot mechanical shark, for that. So there was some cool shit that we did.
Yeah.
The problem was once it got in distribution, they removed the mechanical shark, replaced it all with CGI, and then we ran out of money and they couldn't even finish.
No.
Yeah, so the VFX weren't even barely finished. I have to be careful. There's only so much I'm allowed
Oh,
to say or not say,
no.
but let's just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
say
I got
it
you.
is, in my opinion, it's an incomplete movie, and I did not have control to finish it the
Gotcha.
way that I
Yeah.
thought it should be. But Lavankiet,
Wow.
who's the director, was great, and our crew was wonderful, and Alicia was wonderful, but it didn't come out the way that I think it should have come out. Because again, Jaws is my favorite movie, and I have a Jaws
Gotcha,
tattoo,
gotcha.
and I talked about how that influenced
Oh,
me. So,
let's take a look at that. Yeah.
the Jaws tattoo.
Can you
Let's
show
see
the
how
tattoo then? Again?
there, a little bit there. Yeah, you can kind of see it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
but
Classic. What a
like
classic.
we named the shark Barb as an antithesis to Bruce, and like
Right,
it's
right.
so we had good intentions. It just didn't quite, some movies
Yeah,
don't come
I
out the way you
gotcha.
expect,
But
but that's
but
okay.
why did I get it? I totally get it. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
all good.
yeah,
It's all good. It is what it
yeah,
is. I
yeah.
was just I
It
was
did
just kind of
well.
curious, if the shark, if the practice. Oh, good. Oh, great. I was just curious if the shark was already made. Why did they just say, "Oh, we'll just do CGI"? Is this
The
quicker and
literal
cheaper,
what they
or
s I mean, it wasn't cheaper. It was they spent money that we were spending somewhere else on that, but it looks too rubbery was the term used. So, take that where you
oh,
will.
that's what they were saying? Oh boy.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah,
all right.
so not
Copy
ideal, but
that.
that's okay.
Copy that.
Yeah, it's fine.
But yeah, it's all good. Like it is what it is. But yeah,
Yeah,
let's look at some other projects here. Tell us about some of
yeah.
these that came out last year.
Yeah, Revealer's fantastic. I'm so proud of what Luke Boyce and, and Brett and the whole team put together to make that, Sarah Sharp, and this was a movie that was one of the first films that was made during the pandemic. It was made in like June or July of 2020. And that's why it was written to be in a peep show booth, because they had to have the two. We couldn't put the two actors together in the same room for a while. So we had to have two peep show booths, but it's
Oh,
about,
okay.
It's basically about a woman, a dancer, and then a Christian radicalized naysayer who both get locked in a peep show booth together during the night of the apocalypse. And it's a gnarly concept, and
Nice.
I think Luke did a really great
Yeah.
job of pulling that out, putting the dollars on the screen, and helped produce that and sold it to Shutter. And yeah, I think that came out really great especially for the budget. They made that so low budget, and also trying to make something early in the pandemic when it was just so hard to get anything done, and they really did. And
Yeah.
that's again credit
Right.
to like Sarah Sharp and their producers, pulling that off on set there.
Nice, nice. Another one on the list. I got to check it out for
Yeah,
sure. I love
yeah,
Shutter,
it's good.
man. I love Shutter. And speaking of
Yeah,
Shutter, we got some vamp action going on
yeah,
here. Blood Relatives.
yeah, yeah. That
Tell us a little
was
bit about this one.
Yeah, so Noah is someone I've known for goodness, many many years. He was in my first feature. Well, we met on Starry Eyes actually. So he was in Starry Eyes. That's
Okay.
where we met. We became pals from there, and then he had been in everything I had done. The Pale Door, Camera Obscura, the movies I had directed. And and then I gave him his first directorial effort, which was in Scare Package 1, and he did the Mister segment in the first Scare Package. And
Nice.
one of the things that we like to do is we're trying to like work with filmmakers in Scare Package and then make features either from those segments or just adjacent, like in the same world, from there, and continue working with those people and kind of building out this universe that all started with these anthology films. And so yeah, he had a couple ideas, and the one pitch he had was, this is Paper Moon meets vampires, and I was like, that I love it, I love that idea. And and him and our good friend Liao Name, who's the kind of running point on that, and talked to us about it. And we brought it to Austin in my backyard and
Nice.
shot. That one we shot in November of 2022, and it just came out 1 year later. So that was a quick turnaround on that one. And but yeah, it was great. And Victoria Morales is wonderful. Josh Rubin, other producing partner on that, wonderful, and Cameron Burns, my regular producing partner. And yeah, it was great to see Noah kind of take that step. He's also in the new Knives Out, and he plays Daryl, the guy in the background in Knives Out too, the whole time, who pops up. So he's been in all Ryan Johnson's
Oh,
movies.
nice. Nice.
Yeah, yeah. So he's been around the block for a while, especially as an actor. So he knew his way around a set, and yeah, it was a fun experience. And I'm proud of how that came out.
Nice. Gotta check that one out too. Get some vamp action. Family
Yeah,
sucks is the tagline, which is hilarious.
yeah, yeah,
Let's
yeah,
keep it rocking and rolling here. This one looks
yeah.
wild.
That comes out in like 5 hours. So
Oh
uh,
shit.
yeah, it's coming out like in like 5 hours. So that'll be on Shutter here at, I think, or I guess 3 a.m. Eastern. Is when it'll
Right,
pop up
right,
because it's
right, right.
Pacific. But yeah, so that gentleman there in the main photo and the main poster is John Michael Simpson. John Michael was in Cold Open of the first Scare Package, and Emily Higgins, who wrote and directed that segment for us, she wrote and directed this. And what
Nice.
what I loved about this script when I first read it was this, to me, it's a rom-com horror movie, and I had never seen that before. I just thought that was such like a wild idea.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah.
I kept saying it was like John Hughes by way of James Wan,
Right, right, right.
and that just was fun to me. And so it's another horror comedy. It's really sweet. Like, we do have this, we're making a lot of films where we have a slogan that we're kind of like leaning into a little bit now, which is called horror with heart. And that's
All
a great
right, all
example
right.
of it. Blood Relatives 2, the Scare Package movies are that. And it's
Oh
just
yeah,
something where
oh
like
yeah.
you might, they don't all have to make you feel like shit when you're done. I like some of those movies too, don't get me
Yeah,
wrong,
yeah,
but there's just something, I think, especially with the pandemic and everything, like I think it's just, we've like wanted to make some things that were either a little uplifting or fun or just kind of
yeah.
left of center in some weird way. And that's what Sorry About the Demon, Blood Relatives, Revealer, Scare Package movies, they're all in that space for sure.
Nice, nice. Especially, I agree with you. The horror with heart. I like that because you definitely get that from the scare package movies, man. I couldn't stop smiling. I
That's
couldn't
the
stop smiling.
yeah, that's the goal. That's the goal, Yeah.
Now this looks more of like this is more thriller-esque, but I'm really interested in this one because I love the lead actor. He's phenomenal, and I love the one location movies.
Mhm.
And man, I saw the trailer to Old Man, and I was like, "Oh, I got to see this. This is right
Yeah.
up Samurai Guy's alley." Talk a little bit about this without spoiling it, of course.
Yeah. This is definitely it was based on a play, and this was early in the pandemic, and we had to find a project that could work where we could keep it contained. So it's really just about a lost hiker in the woods stumbles onto a cabin, and and Stephen Lang is there, and they both are not quite who they seem, and they start
Okay,
having these conversations, and things start to go awry, and that's all
okay,
I'll say. But man, so look, I know I'm biased, but I think Stephen Lang should be nominated for like, all the awards.
he
I think
he's so good.
he's phenomenal in this movie too, because he's
Yeah.
doing something like he's
Okay.
great in Avatar and he's great in Don't Breathe. And don't get me wrong, but what he does in this, he goes through the gauntlet of like emotional trauma
Right.
and the
Okay.
way he's dealing with so much and again without giving anything away, like it's really really haunting and beautiful, I think, what he does. So yeah, I mean, look, that is not, I don't call, people call it a horror film, I don't think it's a horror film. To me,
Yeah.
it's more of a thriller. I call it a chamber thriller is what we've been calling it.
Okay.
um
I like that chamber thriller. Yeah.
yeah, it's Lucky McKee though who directed it, who directed May and The
Oh,
Woman.
love May. Yeah.
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 So it's a fantastic director, sick lead actor, Mark Center,
Nice.
who's from The Woods, also in Starry Eyes. It's where I met Mark Center, and he's the other lead in this. So it's just a really good group of folks, and I love this movie. I love this movie. I'm super proud of it, but it's been extremely divisive for some people. But I get it because it's people are expecting like Don't Breathe, and it's not a movie like that, but
Right.
it
Gotcha.
is this like make you think, kind of Twilight Zoney in a way, and I won't say much else, but man,
Yeah.
Slang, as he calls himself Slang, you have to call him that. Like Slang
All
is
right.
he's
I
right,
like
yes.
that. Yeah.
Sexy Sumo is correct. He is a complete badass in everything he does. That man's gonna outlive me, like
he's
100%.
gonna, he's gonna
Like,
outlive all of us.
yeah, man, I'm serious. Like he's up at 6 a.m., just like working out, running around, like doing I mean, he's just a machine. Yeah.
I'm calling him slang now, moving forard. Yeah.
He'll
I'm calling
insist
him
it.
slang.
He'll insist on it. You ever meet him in person, he'll
Nice.
insist on it. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I love that guy. That guy. I mean, I didn't even know he was Ike in Tombstone.
He's so
Did you
good in that, right?
I was
Yeah.
like, wow, that's Stephen
Yeah.
Lang right there.
When we
Blew
hired
blew me
him,
away.
yeah, Lucky and I, the director, and we hired him and Mark, my fellow producer, we were like going through and watching old, Stephen Lang performances. And there's so many. He's a chameleon. Like people don't realize like how many different movies he's been in. Manhunter. Like he's done some shit that people will be surprised of, like, oh my God, that's Stephen Lang as well. Because again,
Yeah.
they just know him in this era of what
Right.
he's done. But
Right,
man,
right, right.
he
Yeah.
is he's amazing. And he's like a trained
Yeah.
thespian. Like he works in New York with like the act with the what's it called? Basically all the theater people up there in New York,
All right.
and
All
like
right.
and trains other actors and stuff too. Like he's just
Nice.
the guy's just he's one of those actors. You know what I mean? Like he wants to perform. He wants to like
Gotcha.
have this thing. It's not just like I just want to make movies. Like he wants to perform. He wants to be a thespian. In every way.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Plus, it's
Yes,
it's cool. To hear that he's spreading the knowledge and the experience to the
completely.
young bucks. That is
Yeah,
awesome. That's awesome. But yeah, Old Man is on the list. It's on Samurai
yeah,
Guy's list to watch. So
cool.
let's jump to some of your directed efforts here. Talk
Yeah,
about a little bit about this one.
yeah, so that was Camera Obscura was my first feature. We made this in 2016. We actually made it with NBC Universal, which was crazy. Unfortunately, the movie they never released my cut of the film, so it's not. It's got some things in it that aren't supposed to be there, and like the
Oh,
ending is at the beginning, and some weird stuff that is kind of
right, right,
unfortunate.
right.
But I worked with Christopher Denham, who's from Argo. He's in the upcoming Oppenheimer. yeah, that's a kid like in this dream sequence, like coming out of a pool, and there's some cool practical gags that we did. There's a pretty gnarly like that. There's a scene there that's Nadia Bobaleva where she's like in a bathroom and and we did this practically in a real house and real bathroom. That glass broke practically. We rigged it with magnets. Then she turns around. The tub starts, pouring blood. That's all practical blood pouring in the tub.
Oh,
And then
wow.
the tub catches on fire, literal
Oh,
actual fire in this room. And she has to like deal with all of this in a small little bathroom. And
all
I
right.
did it
All right.
all practical. And so there's some stuff I'm really proud of. I wish I could have shown my version of that movie and what it could
Right.
have been. Because
Yeah.
but it's interesting. Like that's a film that was a psychological thriller in every way. It's kind of like a fuck with your head, like what's real, what isn't.
Yeah.
As a
Yeah. Yeah.
photographer who has PTSD and he's like seeing dead bodies in these photos that he shoots, and he's like, are these in
Yeah.
the future? Are these real? What's going on? And he starts to lose his mind, and it ends in a very and this part was mine. It's a very depressing ending and kind of heartbreaking. And I watched it a lot in theaters and with people, and I was like, man, I'm kind of down, after watching this movie so many times. So
Yeah.
then Scare Package kind of became the palate cleanser to that movie. I was like, what
Gotcha.
is the opposite
Gotcha.
of that we could do? And that's kind of what that ended up being. But Jeremy King
Nice.
is in that movie too. He's another
Okay.
Buckley. He plays guy, is it Thad Buckley? Like we have a different name each time, but like
Yeah. Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
another
All right.
Buckley with a mustache and a bolo every time. Yeah,
He's so good, that guy, man.
he's the
That
best.
guy is so
Yeah,
good. Nice, nice, nice. I have to check that one out too. Now, this one, I definitely enjoyed this one. It's people think I mean, it's hard to make a movie, period. But people
yeah.
think it's easy to make a Western. It is not easy to make a Western. I've seen recent Westerns where it looks like they went to Walmart and they're just wearing like modern clothes and they just got the cowboy hat, but it's supposed to be a period piece.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah,
easy to make a Western, yet a horror Western.
yeah,
And I've been disappointed. I've been pleased by some. I mean, I love Bone Tomahawk and the
yeah.
Borers and all that. Some of them nail it, and some of them they don't nail it. They kind of miss the mark. But I really enjoy The Pale Door, man.
Oh, thank you so much. Like that's a movie that's really important to me, and it's interesting. Like even some of the critiques that are there, there's some that I think are valid, but so much of it is like either people wanted it to be more horror or more Western,
Right.
And I wanted it first. I wanted it to be a Western first. So
Okay.
the dialogue, the styling, the way people
Yeah.
talk and interact with each other, it's a Western through and through.
Right.
And I
Right.
think even when you look at modern Westerns, I think a lot of times people don't I don't want to say that they're not as educated on some of this, but like you get to like the Sergio Leone type westerns, the spaghetti westerns, and what was there was a style to that, and we really
Yes.
mimicked a lot of that style and what was there, and I'm really proud of how we pulled that off. But I also know tonally that's hard to do because we're also doing a movie that's so much of that is about my dad. There's no Segan again. So much about that is my father and my brother and like a personal story that we had and what happened with me growing up and all that. And there's Bill Sage, legend. Bill Sage is in everything. But it was a movie that I had to make. It was just this thing that I just had to make. And I mean, we turned a church practically upside down. I
That was
made,
insane.
yeah, thank you.
Like,
Like that
how did
was,
you pull that off?
so we literally built that. So that church was built
Okay.
all from scratch. All the way through. And what we did is we built it so that we could mount things to the ceiling, and we took all the pews and everything and mounted it. And then I positioned. We had windows, and the thing about windows is if you just put the treatments upside down on a window and you look
Yeah.
at it, it looks like you're upside down, right? So we
Okay.
had all
Okay.
these tricks of it, but it's all practical. So that was practically done. And then we just took a motion sensor camera and we actually, we did a full rotating camera to disorient the audience to start where it looks upside down, but we're actually starting upside down. And then we go right side up. And yeah,
That is amazing.
I'm really proud of that. I think, yeah, I made Stan Shaw from the Monster Squad, vomit out a
Dude,
black crow and shit. I mean,
I
That's
know.
cool.
I
Yeah.
mean, two veteran actors right here. You know,
Yeah.
I enjoyed um uh what you call from the Innkeepers. You
Pat Healy.
know, Hard
Yeah.
Hitting. Yeah, Pat
Yeah.
Healy. Thank you, Pat Healy.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was good in the Innkeepers. Yeah,
He's great in everything, man. Cheap
yeah,
Thrills. He shows up all the time in movies. Constant. I mean, he's in
yeah.
that new Showtime series with Michael Shannon. He's in that show too, and he's always popping up. And Pat is, one of those guys. Again, I knew him from Starry Eyes, so that's another
Right.
one he played. He played the overzealous manager in that movie. So I kept touch with these people, and I'm like, how do we leverage this? And how can we work together again? And then
Nice.
Stan Shaw is just someone I've known since I was a kid. Not person I've known of since I was a kid that I wanted to
Right.
work
Right.
with.
Right.
And it was like, how do I get someone to kind of come in here and with this presence that had to be able to deliver this
Yeah.
like speech, and what's there. And I get that like a movie that's like really fast and then it slows it way down and then goes fast and slows it way down can
Yeah.
like disorient some people. But that's what I wanted to do, and that's the movie
Right.
I wanted to make. And I'm super proud of it. I
Well,
love
I
what we
enjoyed
pulled
it,
off.
my friend. I enjoyed it, my
Thank
friend.
you. Yeah, it
Especially,
was.
and huge shout out to the stunt women and the stunt team
Yeah,
in this. I mean, man, they were badasses, man.
yeah, yeah. Jen Rader and them, like it is amazing. What I mean, we're throwing people, literally pulling them through doors, throwing them off balconies, throwing them down flights of stairs. And they're doing this after being in head to toe makeup to look like burnt, charred witches
Yeah.
for 4 to 5 hours. And it's a lot. It's a lot to ask because you can't pad them the right way.
Right.
So that's what stunt people do. If you notice in stunts, they're always wearing baggier clothing or what's needed to kind of like pad that.
Right.
So, we had to find the ways to like hide that as much as we could and still make it safe for them, but still like pull off this like crazy shit. And what's crazy is some of those women they're like 5 different witches, and I just redesigned them in different ways. And I'm like, okay, shoot you now falling off this. Okay, now look this direction. Now you've got this wig on. You're a different looking one. Now shoot you doing this.
It
And
works. It works.
well, that's what you have to do. I mean, that was the toughest movie we've ever made by far. We had
Yeah.
Category 5 tornadoes
Oh
rip
my
through the
goodness.
set. We lost time, days. We had flooding. It
Wow.
just was, we lost like 3-4 days of shooting in the middle of shooting.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
so it was really, really trying. But the fact that we still finished it, still got it made,
Yeah.
I'm super proud of. Yeah.
Nice. 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 And now, well, before we get to the next one, any future westerns? Any more in the future,
I
baby?
don't think so. I
I
think
just asked.
that was so hard.
You scratched your western itch. You're good.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's part of me that like wishes I could do it with the money I was supposed to have and with the days I was supposed to have. But we
Gotcha.
lost some money and we lost days. And I'm like, man, if I could just reshoot a couple of these moments. But that's what always happens. You finish a movie and what's there. So it is what it is. There's the movie you write, the movie you shoot, and the movie you make, right?
Gotcha.
So that's what happened there. But no, I think it'd be a while because it's hard. It's so hard. Yeah.
Hey, but at least you got it finished and it's out for people to watch and enjoy. So
Yeah.
that's all that
Yeah.
matters at the end of the day. So awesome, awesome. But now, Smiles, friend, Smiles, like hilariosity, badassity. Samurai Guy was enjoying this. This is one of the best horror anthology I've seen in a long time, man. This was so much fun. I mean, there's so many 80s horror references
Mhm.
that I lost count. I can't even
Yeah.
list them all because I'm sure I missed probably 50 or 100 more. Oh, but just what a love letter, man. What a love letter. You guys have got to watch the Scare Package movies, man. You got to watch them. But yeah,
Oh, thank
just
you.
just
Yeah.
so much fun. So much fun. I mean, I was just busting up and all of these stories, man. Like the slasher guy
Yeah.
who's not really a slasher. I mean, that cracked me up. This one
Yeah.
here this is one of my favorites.
Yeah. Oh god.
Yeah.
So funny.
I showed my wife this, man. She was dying. Oh my god,
Yeah.
she was having so much fun with this one. Dude, the gore effects. The
Yeah.
gore effects in both of these movies are legit, guys. Like it's not just fun and comedy and just 80s homage, goodness. The gore effects. I mean, who did the gore? Who did the creature and gore effects in this?
Yeah, yeah. Well, first off, thank you so much. Like this was definitely the movie that we had no one telling us what to do. This was like the movie that was like exactly the way we wanted it. It was just me and my friends. We put our own money into it. We had no idea what was going to happen, and it was like let's just push it to 11 every opportunity. Like who cares? Like if it makes me laugh, we're doing it. So and across the board, I mean, I would say Tate Steinbeck, who's the guy who some folks might know him from Face Off, the show Face Off, and he was probably the main through line for most of Scare Package One. Ryan Shadley also did some effects. He did the '90 Came Back Again segment for Anthony Cousins, and then Eric Zapata, who worked on a couple of different ones. So each segment was done at a different time. So we had different people, but it was very important that also Russell Effects, who just did Hellraiser, they worked on that a little bit too. So everyone that we brought in was specifically catered to like what that segment needed and what I
Gotcha.
was trying
Okay.
to do. Because like sometimes there's a person that you need to make a monster, and then sometimes there's a person you need to do gags. That's like cutting off limbs and whatever. And we get very intricate
Gotcha.
about it. Like we care about our gore and we care about the way that we stage those. So it's meticulously put together. And that's something that like as like the overseer of all this, I wrote and directed the main story, but I'm also
Right.
producing and approving the individual segments with Cameron Burns, my creative partner. And so we're like, something will come in. You talk about the goo guy segment, the melting man.
Yeah.
So Chris McEnroy, I remember, who's the writer director, is just so talented. We have a feature we're trying to make with him now too.
Oh,
That's
all
in the
right.
same kind of world and same bullshit craziness. But
Nice.
I remember him writing something. He's like, I don't know, am I going too far here with this? I'm like, no, go further. Just do it. Just go. Just go.
Yes.
And it's like, let's just like don't hold anything back. Cause I had no idea if anyone was going to like this. I had no idea if we'd ever get to do anything like this again. So it's just like throw everything at the wall and see what
Let's do it.
sticks.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And then people like yourselves and whatever dug it, and here we are now with a sequel, which is wild. Yeah.
Nice. Did you always want to do a horror anthology at some point, or this was just something just, hey, let's just try this?
No, I actually credit to Cameron Burns, like I said, my creative partner, because he brought up after Camera Obscura, we were like, okay, we had a little bit of money that we had raised, and then Universal came in and funded that whole movie. So we had that money set aside, and we're like, what can we go make that's like no budget, and how can we make this? And I was writing another idea, and he's like, we should do an anthology because we could spread it out, and it was smart. I was like, I agree, but Creep Show's about to come out. The
Right.
VHS is coming back. Southbound I thought was so good, and I'm like, we can't compete with them? We don't have the budget, and we are the lowest budget of every single anthology out there by a much
Wow.
wider margin than people know. Like I guarantee you,
Wow.
none
Well,
of
it
those
didn't
like.
show. It
Oh well,
didn't go
thank
in
you.
here.
Well, we try to put the dollars on the screen, that's the motto.
There you
So
go. There you
again,
go.
but yeah, like compared to like VHS and compared to even Mortuary
Right.
Collection, all that, and these are all my friends' films. They're wonderful, and I love these movies, but we're like a fifth of
Gotcha.
some of their
Wow.
budgets and stuff. Yeah, so
Wow. Wow.
so yeah, and we didn't know where that was going to really go, but Cam was like, we should do this, and I was like, okay, well, let me. And I took that weekend. I'm a little OCD. I get very like where I obsess over an idea or like a concept or
Yeah.
how we could make something happen. And I took the weekend and I watched every anthology I could, and I made like a spreadsheet of like what I liked and didn't. And I was like, okay, here's the model. Like, here's how we can do this. Like, number one, it has to feel cohesive. Like, I don't want
Okay.
they all have to be the same tone. So it's either all serious or all comedy or all this. Number two, there has to be a through line, something that's connecting them all together. And number three, that connection, it needs to be its own story. So like I wanted the wraparound. I would watch these segments and I'd get annoyed when the wraparound came back. And I'm like, no, just give me to
Right.
another segment. So I was like, I want the opposite to happen. I want you to be
Okay.
just excited for the wrap as you are for a segment. And then it needs to have like the same composer, sound designer, colors, like so that it feels like because so many of these things just like felt disjointed,
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, it needs to feel like one movie.
Right.
And
Right.
so we did that, and I was like, and then I leaned into the horror comedy, and the original title was Tropes. And the idea was that every segment was a different set of horror tropes
Right.
that we were
Right.
subverting. But then I was like, well, if the movie's about tropes, then the title needs to be a trope too. So then we went to scare package, kind of like the, the puns of that era, like the Silent Night, Deadly Night,
Right. Right.
chopping
Right.
mall,
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
we played with that, and that's where it really came from. But it wouldn't have happened if Cameron didn't push me, because
Right.
I was not gonna do it, and I'm so glad he did, because it kind of worked out.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. And speaking of, hold on one second. Speaking of Chopping Mall, man, you had
Yeah,
some horror icon legends. You had Kelly Maroney. That's
yeah,
right, in the Scare Package too. How
yeah,
fun was
wonderful.
that having her on set there?
Oh, it was such a dream, that and Night of the Comet. Like, I love Night of the Comet
Yes.
so much.
Yes.
It's so fun. Yeah, I knew. So once we had made the first one, it was like, okay, now this world, like, how do you expand this world in the right way, and who would be a part of that? So I was like, I
Right.
wanted to bring in, I also wanted to generationally, bring in some other people and stuff there too. So I was like, I want to get a Scream Queen. That's what I wanted. I wanted to find someone
Nice.
from that era. And yeah, and Kelly immediately jumped at it, and we were so glad that she did. And like, I love that I get to make Kelly. I mean, actually, that picture of her vomiting on, that's Jen Rader, who plays Claire. Jen is the witch in one of the stunt witches in The Pale
Oh,
Door.
really?
Yeah. So I
Nice.
was like, oh, I get to make, Kelly vomit acid onto Jen Rader. Like, come on. Like this is
Yeah.
fun. I'm all in.
And that's what's all about. And speaking of fun, was this the the melting man here? This segment was this did this one become one of the fan favorites? Is that why you brought the actor back in the
It
sequel
did. It did. Yeah. I
as like
mean,
a celebrity?
yeah, yeah. I mean, well, because we were trying to think of how could we do this? Like, how could I bring Goo Guy, as we call him, Goo Guy, back into this in some way? And he had his own T-shirt with fright rags and stuff and everything from that segment. And we're like, okay, this is definitely the fan favorite. This is definitely something to do. So if we're gonna play in this meta world, and that was a movie that Rajhad was watching, what if, like, he had written all these letters to the star of that movie, and would he show up to his funeral? And then the idea that the
Right,
star of that movie,
right.
so we get Kirk. Actually, if you look at him, he's wearing the Goo Guy shirt from Fright Rags in the movie, in Scare Package 2, of
Wow,
himself.
wow.
And then, signing autographs as Goo Guy and all that
Yeah,
stuff. And,
yeah, yeah.
I just thought
Oh,
that was such a
man.
fun thing. And then any opportunity to get Kirk Johnson, who plays that character, who's playing himself, in
Yeah.
back in a movie, is so good, because he's so funny. He's just so funny.
Yeah, he's great, man. And
Yeah.
so, and some of the segments were so entertaining that I would watch them as their own movies,
Yeah.
like especially this one with the character of Davey and the slasher that they the slasher that just wouldn't not die. It's hilarious, man. But yeah, I
Yeah.
was enjoying it, and I love how you brought it back in the second one, and I love how you put in that line that that our antagonist says that sequels are the lifeblood of the horror genre. I like
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's kind of true. We keep coming
It
back,
is.
but
Well,
yeah,
and also, if you
yeah,
think about it, right? Like, when I was a kid growing up, the first Friday the 13th I saw was not Friday the 13th part 1. You know what I mean? Like, I saw, like, part 4 or part 6, I think. Like, we're
hmm
not, the era, at least I'm from, like, a lot of us, we were young in the 80s, and we're not watching these movies when they first come out. We're finding them later, and we're trading VHSs with friends. So you're coming in to horror sequels. That's your introduction to a lot of these franchises for me. So it's like, that is what invigorated them. And look, there's no Jason in Friday 13th Part 1 anyway. You know
yeah,
what I mean? So, like,
right,
that's where it really does become something. And the lifeblood of that series 100% comes from there. And again, I have, and I got a Friday 13th tattoo, and, like, again, it's
yeah,
part of it's what I love. It's the shit that I'm into.
yes,
And so it was like, how do we play in that kind of space,
yeah,
and take all this? But yeah, I mean, and Anthony, who did the night he came back again, both in the first and the second one, as Care Package, Anthony Cousins, like, it just, that was the only one that we brought back. Number one, because I've never seen a sequel to a segment in an anthology before. So
me neither.
then that meant I had
Yeah.
to do it, so that excites
Yeah.
me when I haven't seen something. So we came back and did that, and then that's Chelsea Grant, who plays Daisy, is just wonderful. I love the so like Wile E. Coyote and like the way she emits the smoke and stuff on her face is just so great. And but he was already he in the first one, he made The Night He Came Back Again Part 4, The Final Kill. So he was already playing in the sequel space. So when we're making a sequel that's really talking about sequel tropes, let's
Yeah.
do a sequel to our movie that's already about sequels in the sequel. So it
Yeah.
just kind of like I was like, this makes too much sense. So I
Yeah.
mean, we were hoping to do a third one, and Anthony
Oh,
would come back
please.
too. He would come back to
Okay.
do a third of
Okay.
that segment.
Nice.
Yeah, of that
Nice.
series
You got to
for
keep it
sure.
going. You got to keep it going for sure.
I'm down as long
Uh,
as you all still dig it. We'll keep
oh
making
yeah.
them. Yeah,
Oh, we dig it, sir. We dig it. But more villains versus villains is something you don't see.
yeah,
I enjoy that. I love that because that's something you really don't see a lot. So I
yeah,
had fun with that segment as well. But your segment, man, definitely playing with the tropes, especially the whole "well, you're the final girl and you're the jock," and
yeah,
just that whole "you're the slut." It was just
yeah.
hilarious, just playing with that and all the carnage. I absolutely loved the
Yeah.
finale, man. The
Oh, thank
carnage,
you.
the gore. I mean, come on, guys. Death by treadmill? What? I mean, it's
I'm proud
just
of
too
that.
good.
I'm
Oh, you
proud. That's
thought
one
of
of my
that?
favorite.
Nah.
No, I'm proud. I'm just proud of it. Like that's one of my favorite kills that I've written. Which was again, I was like, what is the most ridiculous kill you can come up with?
Yeah.
And I knew that there was so he escaped from the room with treadmills. And I was like, what would he use in the room? And then I was like, well, the most ridiculous thing is he would throw a
Yeah.
treadmill. And all my
Yeah. It
producing
was, oh my
partners,
God.
they're just like, well, you can't throw a treadmill. That's not going to work, you know? And I'm like, well, I'm going to make it work then. So we built a
That's
wall.
right.
That's a
Yeah.
real treadmill, that we stuck at a wall and everything. And
Yeah.
I'm glad we
Yeah.
made that work because I'm super proud of it. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I loved all the gore, all the carnage, the music. I mean, just man, the cinematography, the way you directed this. I mean, look at this, guys. Everybody watching right now. I mean, this is great. I just love it, man. And I did
Yeah.
not expect the slasher to be Dustin Rhodes, man. Gold Dust. I was like, what?
Yeah.
How cool was it working with him?
Oh, it was a dream. It's a dream. I mean, I grew up a wrestling fan, and so and when you have to find someone that's going to play your masked killer, you have to evoke so much emotion in your body language, in your eyes. And Dustin's just got those like baby blues, that like pierce through you. And
Yeah.
he lives in Texas. He's a Texas guy, and so I had some access to him, being a Texas filmmaker, and so he was the first choice, and I didn't think it was going to work, and it did. And I'm so glad it did because man, he's so rad. And yeah, on AEW right now, what he's doing is like unbelievably cool shit. Like that,
He's
he's
he's turned back the
reinvigorated his
clock.
career. Oh,
Yeah.
completely, completely. Like he's killing it. His
Yeah.
bout with his brother, like was just one of the best. That bloody bout was just insanity. And
That was like
yeah,
5-star match. That was
yeah,
a 5-star
completely,
match. Yeah.
completely. And
Him and Cody.
that's just Dustin, who he just brings something to it. He cares so much about what he does. He loves acting, loves it. So, I feel bad because the character itself, I didn't know what Dustin Rhodes could really do. I
Right,
wrote
right,
this,
right.
silent killer type, and I kind of wish
Yeah.
I hadn't because he's so good and he's so
Yeah.
charismatic that I want to play more up into it. So I have some
Yeah.
ideas, hopefully I can open him up again if I can bring him in the third one. But man, Dustin Rhodes is like just the sweetest person. His mother unfortunately just passed away this past week, and he's going
Oh
through a really
no.
bad week.
Oh no, I
And
didn't know that.
yeah,
No
but so just
condolences to the
yeah,
family.
my thoughts out to the Rhodes
Yeah.
family and what they're dealing with. But just he walks up to everyone on set, takes a picture with every single person on the crew. He's like, no, there's no like ego with him whatsoever. He's just one of those guys who believes that hard work pays off. He inspires you, and I look up to him, man. I think he's just a wonderful human that I hope more people get to know and experience in this new phase in his career as he eventually
Yeah.
moves out of wrestling.
Yeah, he's a legend. That guy's a legend, man, for
Completely,
sure, for
completely.
sure. And speaking of legends, man, how did you get this guy to show up in your movie? Joe Bob Briggs. Oh my goodness, man. I was busting up, but he just came in out of nowhere. Loved
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Well, I knew it had to be out of nowhere. It needed to be, but I will say it's interesting. When I cast Joe Bob, I wrote him into the script. There was no Shutter resurgence. He hadn't come back yet. Like none of that stuff had happened. So some of my friends, even horror fans, mind you, I sent the script and they're like, "Who's Joe Bob Briggs?" And I'm like, okay, well, I'm like,
You're
it doesn't
all
matter if
fired.
you
You're all fired. Okay, I'm kidding.
yeah,
Okay.
but I grew up, I grew up with him. I grew up with
Yeah.
Monster Vision.
Monster Vision. Yeah.
He was part of my horror education as a kid, and I was like, okay, if they're doing in the ending of Scare Package One, they're doing these tests to understand how horror films work. Well, they would bring in an expert, a subject matter expert, to help them. So I was like, if you're going to have a subject matter expert, who would you have that knows horror? And there were only two names that came to mind. And number one was Joe Bob Briggs. Number two was Elvira. Like,
Yeah.
so
Right.
that was
Yeah.
it. And I was like, let's get Joe Bob, lean into this. And, John, again, another guy who just like came in. We wrote dialogue that he wanted to do on the day. There was some improvisation that he did that was just so hilarious. He's so smart. I mean, not that anybody doesn't know this. Like Joe Bob's a genius, right? And the way
Right.
John
Right. Right.
has shit figured out on a level. I love when people like the people that critique him at times that just have no clue who they're talking to. They have no idea how smart John Bloom is. They have no idea. They just do not get it.
Yeah.
This guy's pure
Right.
genius and he's playing a character at times, but even that character is just, to me, it's everything that I love about horror because it's like telling you that you fit in, you're part of this bigger world. The idea of the mutant family and all that just like touches my heart because I didn't feel like I fit in as a kid, and I loved this shit and I didn't know who else was like me and all that. And I felt like I had that, with Joe Bob. So to get to bring him in and do that, and then tease him here in the second
That's
one
cool.
too, and is just
Yeah.
so
You're a
great.
moron. Yeah. He's
Yeah.
hilarious.
That's him. That
Just
was
messing with
improvised. That was improvised by him. Yeah. Yeah. Well, he ran it by
Oh
me
man.
and we did a few takes
Yeah.
and I was like, I love it. Do it. Do it.
Yeah, yeah, nice. I
Yeah.
had the writers, the Gear Brothers. I had the writers of the film, The Retaliators, that
Hmm.
came out last year, and I had them on the channel a couple of times, and we just love talking films, and we both they s- they sent me the episode, Joe Bob Briggs episode where he was talking. I think it was Howling 7.
Hmm.
I think it was Howling 7. I don't remember, but it's notoriously bad. I think Joe Bob gave it 0 stars. Like it was like just so bad. And I watched his episode and when I was laughing hysterically, and then me and the Gear Brothers we had to talk about it. We reviewed it here on the channel, which we had a lot of fun, just was rolling.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so awesome. You got a chance to have them on in your projects, man, for sure. Now, how did you pull this shot off?
Oh
The
yeah.
flying axe.
That was fun. So you actually rig it to the actual dolly itself. So you take
Okay.
an arm. So you have the dolly that's on track. So you can push it really, really fast. And then you take an arm, a metal arm that you stick out, and then you rig the axe there. And then you have that as your focal point. And then
Oh,
you pull back as fast as you can. And then you ramp the footage. And it just kind of like speeds up and zooms into you,
okay.
which was a blast,
Yeah, I love
But
stuff like that.
oh, that whole sequence in the hallway there, I'm really proud of because we have him walk out, and then we have that axe that hits a gentleman, and then we flip around and we're upside down. We flip back up, and actually, me doing that flip shot that reveals the impaler when they're running with that DP, that was what gave us the idea in the pale door on how we would flip and go upside down and stuff. So like,
Ah,
you have a little thing you test out in one movie, and then you kind of take it a little
right.
further in another movie,
Yeah,
and all
yeah, for
that.
sure.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it was a blast. It was a blast.
So it was a no-brainer to do another one. You were like, we gotta do it.
I
Or
mean,
did you want to
I
do a series of horror anthologies?
well, as soon as I realized that I never thought this was going to happen. Truly, like we did not think this was going to happen, and Shutter was like, look, this is doing really well. Like this is
Nice.
really blowing up, and I was like, oh my God, okay, well then we have to do this, right? We got to keep it because it was so much fun. It was
Yeah.
this thing, and And I was like, look, if we do it, and Shudder at the time, I'll be honest, they tried to buy the rights to the whole Scare Package franchise. And I said, no, I'm not going to sell that. Even though I don't know them say it's worth a ton of money, I just didn't want to do that. Like I was like, I want to make
Gotcha.
sure we're making this our way, and we're going to be as silly and as ridiculous as we want, and no one's
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
tell us no. And they
There
were
you go.
like, they just let us do it. They're like, go do your thing. You have free reign. We had a few notes, but they were great notes, and we could choose to take them or not. And so it was very different than the first film, because the first film was like, scrape together a few extra thousand to blow a car up,
Right.
scrape
Right.
together
Right.
like all these little things that we couldn't figure out, and we're just desperately trying to find money for. And
Yeah.
this was, all funded by Shutter, and we were off and
Oh,
running.
wow.
So yeah, we got to go and, definitely had more money. It still wasn't a lot, still a lot less than any of these other anthologies, but was more than what we had before. And so gave us this freedom to do and just
Nice.
go wilder with it, go crazier with it. Yeah.
Nice. Oh, well, you went crazier with it, and I loved it. But man, it premiered at Fright Fest, I see here.
Yeah, we were, that's an IMAX screen in London was our
That
world
is
premiere.
insane. That's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
That was my
It
next
was nuts.
question. Holy shit, that screen is huge, though. That makes sense.
Yeah, it was nuts. It was nuts, and what an honor to play with the Fright Fest. It's
Yeah.
a legendary
Congratulations.
festival. Thank
Yeah.
you. It was great to be out there and do this, and yeah,
And
we played.
Neil Marshall was there too. I mean, a lot of legends were there, as he
Yeah,
was.
Neil and I were actually mentors for this New Blood contest for people who are developing scripts and working their way up in the industry. And Neil and I got to be friendly and be pals. And Neil and I sat next to each other to watch Barbarian together when we were there.
Yeah.
The premiere of Barbarian was at Fright
Was
Fest as well.
was Neil there promoting the Lair
He
as well, or
was.
he?
Yep,
Okay,
he was.
it's on the list. I still need to watch that. By the way,
Yeah, it's good, man.
nice.
God, he's such a master of gore. I mean, Dog Soldiers and The Descent are just two of my favorite movies. They're just so rad,
Favorite
and
werewolf movie right there.
yeah, oh man, it's so good,
And I
so
and
good.
I love the Descent. The real version of the Descent,
Yeah, right.
not the botched
Not the U.S.
butchered
version.
version. Yes,
Yeah,
that
it's the
horribleness.
U.S. It's the states here, and we're
Yeah,
the ones that mess it
terrible.
up because we
Yeah,
can't take things that are sad.
yeah,
It's like there's got to be something that's there. So it's like that ending is so heartbreaking when that cupcake
yeah.
and that becomes, it's just so heartbreaking.
But it stays with you. It gives you an
Yeah.
emotion, and
Oh, it's
that's what
great.
you. I'd rather have that, even if it's sad. I'd rather
Yeah.
have that than a confusing ending where you're going like, "What the fuck just happened?" And
Yeah.
then they sequel that. I'm
I
like,
know.
"What are you doing?" But
Yeah, so they follow
that's
her leaving the thing. Yeah. And look, I'm when it talks about like, sad horror and stuff like that, like
yeah,
that's an epitome of like just well-made, scary as shit, hyper tense horror, and
yep,
I hope one day I'll have a budget like that
yeah.
for what he
I'm
was able to.
sure.
He
I'm
built
sure.
all of those things, it's just so
Wow,
special, like all of the cave systems and everything.
really?
Yeah, it was all
Oh my
built. It's
god!
all on stage, and it's just so gnarly what he was able to do
Wow.
with so much of
Yeah,
that.
it's one
So
of the best creature features ever made.
yeah,
Period.
completely,
Uh, But yeah, back
completely.
to Scare Package 2, man. Oh man, now it's just the funeral and everything. It's a setup. It's a
Yeah,
setup. Oh my
yeah,
goodness. The actor on the far left in the red shirt, he's been in a lot of things recently.
yeah. Graham Skipper. Yeah, he was just in The
Yes, I just
Leech.
watched. Yeah, I enjoyed that. That was The Leech was fun. He had a little bit role in Christmas Bloody Christmas, which was
Yep,
fun.
yep. Yeah,
But
he's in
yeah,
all
it was.
Joe
How was it
Begos'
working?
stuff. Yeah,
Okay, are you going to
yeah.
have
So
him into some future projects?
yeah, oh yeah. Graham was so much fun playing Dwight. Like I think I first saw him in, I think it was almost human, and then in Beyond the Gates with
Yeah,
with Chase Williamson, who's in the first Care Package, and
yeah.
as well, and they were there together playing, I think,
That's a good
brothers.
movie, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, and I
Yeah,
think
it's a
that there's
fun one.
something great there. And so I always wanted to work with Graham, and then he actually moved to the Austin area during the pandemic. So I was like, "Oh my God, you're in town, dude!
Yeah.
This is like a sign. We gotta finally work together." And then plus, it's like, who am I gonna get that's gonna show up and I'm gonna skin them alive, and they're gonna remain a skinned person the rest of this movie. Like, who's gonna let me do that shit but Graham Skipper, you know? Yeah.
Oh my god! You know, everybody watching this, all you Hellraiser fans, you know what really made this funny? This shot here, you know what made it hilarious to me was that this was literally the next shot when you meet up with him.
Yeah.
It's the last time you see him, he's just slowly getting ripped apart by the hook chains, and then the next shot, he's just that's it, it's all gone. Oh
Yeah.
my god! But
Yeah.
the with the impaler grabbing him and he's just slipping out of it. He can't
Yeah,
grab
yeah.
him, and he's
I love
running
that.
away, flipping him off.
Yeah. That
Oh
was
my
the
god, I
first
was
GIF I
dying.
made when we were in post, and I just made a GIF of that. I had so much fun with that
Yeah,
little sequence where he's like
yeah. Oh my
slippery and
god.
that Paler can't grab him and he runs away flipping him off. I just made a GIF of that. I sent it to Graham and I sent it to
Yeah,
Dustin. And I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
guys, this movie's gonna work. This movie's gonna work. That was when I knew it. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, yeah. I was rolling at that. And of course, Byron here, he was really in his element, having a blast.
He's the funniest. So no doubt, Byron Brown, who plays Sam, is the funniest person I've ever met. He's a local Austin improv actor, and that guy, he improved a ton of lines on the first scare package, and he was just supposed to be the small part, just the guy showing up at the video store in a couple moments. And I kept bringing him back and kept like building out his character because Byron as Sam was so funny. So then when and when we're making a sequel to this, like the easy answer was just go back to the video store and put tapes in, right? We could do that forever. I could do a
Yeah,
prequel. I could do any timeline I
yeah.
wanted with this.
Sky's the limit. Yeah,
Yeah, but I was like, but if that's the easy answer, I shouldn't do it. And I was like, well, who could be this person who maybe, because I was growing frustrated at the time when people were like, oh, this is a B movie or elevated horror. And I was like, there's no elevated drama, there's no elevated comedy. Like, what the hell are you
right, right,
talking
right,
about? So I would get
right.
annoyed at those phrases.
Me
And
too.
then and I was like, well, what would happen? What if somebody took that way too far? You know, and that became Sam to me because he
Okay.
was already kind of cryptic and
Yeah,
creepy in the
yeah,
first
yeah,
movie.
yeah, yeah,
So we leaned into it and
yeah.
he was cracking us up.
Well,
Like it was, we
in
were
the first
dying.
movie, he's trying to get a job at the video store,
Yeah.
and then Jamie's character's looking at him. He's like, "Why would you hire me?" And Jamie's character's like, "Well, nobody likes you, man. Just look at your face."
I just
He's
want
like,
to punch
"I
it.
just want to punch you."
Yeah. Yeah.
I
That was
was
improvised
dying.
too. That
Oh my
was
god.
them. So we had a variation of that written,
Yeah.
but that became, I just let them riff and I would just like
Oh.
egg them on, egg them on, egg them on. And we just kept filming. And so, Jeremy and him were just like going back and forth. And yeah, that was Jeremy King riffing that
Oh,
on
good
him. And
stuff.
they're
Good
just,
stuff.
the two of them together are so funny. Yeah.
This is one of my favorites. The whole
Yeah.
the 80s final girls are becoming obsolete.
Yeah.
And then they're
Yep.
become the what was it?
Well, the sure to
Oh,
die girls,
sure to die girls. Yeah.
STD. Yeah. STD
Good
girls. Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, that's
Good
Alex
stuff.
Barretto. She wrote that, and we were trying to find new directors for the second scare package. She had made a short that I love called Lady Hater that was played at Tribeca, but it wasn't really horror. But she's a horror fan, and when I found that out, I was like,
Nice.
"Look, can we talk about an idea here?" And I wanted to do something that showed the evolution of the final girls because they
Right.
changed, era to era, and
Yeah.
there's still remnants, but like as a whole, and Scream really was a movie that helped kind of like usher in a new version of that. And I was like, why don't we talk about that? And so she wrote this segment. It became very literal, called "Welcome to the '90s," and that transition of like final girls changing, and I just thought she killed it. We shot that in Oklahoma City, and just on set, those three girls in particular, once they got together, were just so funny. Luxie, Shayna, and Steph there, and they're just hilarious. And again, playing on these tropes. Each of them, are characters from. It's like you've got characters from Alien and from Nightmare on Elm
Right.
Street. And
The
Ginny,
badass. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, Ginny
Vasquez.
from Friday 13th too. Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you make those, play in the right way and they're living in this world? And it was just a lot of fun. That's again
And
credit
then
to
and then
to Alex.
Buffy shows up
Yeah,
and
yeah.
starts changing things. But I love the end. I love how it ends. There's room for everyone.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
well, and
I love that.
Buffy was a '90s kind of character, right? That was in a
Yeah,
different era. So
yeah,
they're like coming into this world, and that's that she's living in. So, it was very deliberate in how that was kind of put together. But yeah, that's Steph Barkley, and she's hilarious.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, keep this going here. This
Yeah, yeah.
segment. You keep it going. This is just great.
So yeah, again, Anthony coming back, right? Again, we had to make a sequel to this. And I thought it was so fun to kind of play with those tropes of like because there's tropes in the horror sequels, this idea
Yeah,
of like four is the final kill, then five is probably some kind of new beginning, maybe Daisy and them aren't even in it, or the killer's not even in it. And then six is like the reimagination, the Tommy McLaughlin, Jason Lives stuff, and what's there, and
yeah,
how do you
yeah, yeah.
how do you take it in a different level? So
Oh
it was
my
just
god.
fun to play with all those tropes, and what Anthony did, Ryan Shadley, his makeup effects guy, just killed it.
I
The end of
love
that's so good.
Yeah, I love the beginning though, where you had the Jason Lives intro, the James Bond type intro.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
instead of Jason, it's Chad walking by.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was fun
That
to
was
do.
that was
Yeah,
hilarious.
I always loved that intro, and
Yeah,
I don't think I had even watched the James Bond movies at the time when I was a kid to even realize that that was riffing on James
right,
Bond,
right,
but it
right,
just
right.
became I was like, "Well, how do we show that this movie is like a different thing?" In the first
Yeah.
scare package, the time where I want horror fans to know they're in like a safe space, like I got
Mhm.
your back, like you're gonna have fun with this, like buckle up kind of shit. And
Yeah,
the first scare package, I think that really happens when you see the Freddy top come down, and you're like, okay, like these people kind of get it. And here I want it to be the title card,
yeah,
where Chad comes out, and it's got to have energy, and that whole thing. And
right. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Cuervo's
That was good.
score, my composer Alex Cuervo is so amazing, and he just brought this like really fun cover, metal riff to it, and it's just a blast.
Oh yeah, soundtrack to both movies is great. But
Yeah.
this segment here, I love how you show they show the love for Reanimator and The Fly. That was hilarious.
Yeah, that was one that actually Cameron and I wrote as well, which is why it more seamlessly integrates into the rest of the movie. But yeah, I always thought there was a funny trope to kids who are doing all this crazy shit and the parents have no idea like what's going
Yeah.
on, you know? And that was something that happened a lot, in the 80s and 90s and like
Yeah.
Goonies and It and all this. So this became a fun thing to kind of play with. And I was like, well, how do we what if there was this reanimator pet cemetery style thing with
Yeah.
the It kids, and or the Goonies kids? It's kind of both. They're both tropes of
Yeah.
the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And that became a blast. But yeah, and then Rachel Wiggins, she was someone I met actually at the world premiere, the first scare package. She was there in Spain where we premiered that movie, and we got to know each other. And then I hired her to direct it because I just thought she could take. She's Australian, and I was like, look, just shoot it in Australia and let's like lean into the Aussie aspects of this and
Yeah.
make it have a different flavor to it, and give us a little more broader, kind of like comedic appeal, beyond just what we're doing here in the States. So, and she killed it. I'm so proud of what Rachel did escalating that segment.
Yeah, it was hilarious, and you're right. The mother in that short, the mother was like totally clueless of what's going on downstairs.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
was
Well,
hilarious.
and did you notice the other mom that plays the Karen type mom, who's like, they have to get her home by 7, and
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
there. That's Barbara Bingham from Friday 13th Part 8. So
Oh, no shit.
yeah, so it's like, okay, well, this
Wow.
is fun. So then we named the kid Jason, so that
Yeah,
as a
yeah, yeah.
tie-in. Again,
Oh,
just
nice, nice.
we have hidden references that I don't think anyone will ever get.
I
Like
was I was proud of
just putting,
myself for a while there, but then I'm like, you know what? I'm pretty sure I missed like the one you just mentioned. I'm pretty sure I missed
yeah,
like 50 or 60 of them. But hey,
that's fine.
that
Yeah,
it just makes these movies have rewatchability, man.
that's the
That's
hope,
all that's the
Well,
point.
and I will say, I mean, I guess I can just tell you, I don't mind, but on the Blu-ray coming out, we're doing.
Mm.
So if you remember VH1 had like the pop-up video type thing
Yeah,
back
yeah.
in the day.
Pop-up video. Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing that,
I'm
but with
old.
me too. We're doing that, but it's with all the horror references. So you'll watch the movie,
Oh,
and then it'll pop up and
perfect.
tell you all the things that we're talking about. And I think that'll be
Oh,
a fun way to watch the movie, for
yeah.
people as they get along. Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
it'll be fun.
I gotta ask, are you gonna be selling some Chad puppets, man? Some
Uh,
Chad saw puppets.
I mean, let's see here. I think I have this one right here with me. Yeah.
Oh, hold on. Let me blow you up. Hold on. Let me blow you up. Hold on. That way everybody can see it clearly.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So yeah, we had this actually. Tate Steinseck made this one, although this is getting a little messed up here, but because he's not really made it. But yeah, the guy who he worked on again the first Scare package, and then he did the Puppet Master, the new Puppet Master reboot. And I was like, look,
Yeah.
I want a Chad, animatronic, even the Bolo, and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want a
Yeah.
Chad animatronic, puppet here, that Saw style, and he made this thing. So it cost too much money, so I had to pay for it myself. So now I get to keep it.
Okay. Damn it. That's all right.
Yeah,
No, it's understandable.
but we
Understandable.
might. I mean, it's funny. We have talked about the possibility of maybe making some toys or something, or
Yeah.
reaching
Yeah.
out to like
Some
Trick or Treat
Chad.
Studios, something like
Yeah.
that.
Some
If
Funko Pops or something.
if somebody wants to make a toy, let me know. I own all the rights. I could license it for nothing. I don't care. I just want to make them. You know?
Yeah, yeah, but the Chad puppet, Saw puppet was cracking me up, man. Just
Yeah.
fucking shit up, late, not on cue to terrorize people, and just making sounds during the villain monologue. Oh my
Yeah.
god, it was hilarious stuff, man,
Well, and that's
for sure.
me. That's all I'm voicing the puppet, and
Oh
so
no,
yeah, yeah.
oh, that's hilarious. Was it let's see, we got some chat here. They love movies like this. I'm interested. There you go, nice. Got chat chiming
Cool,
in there.
cool.
But yeah, that's hilarious that you voiced the puppet. The puppet's movements, though, was that difficult to pull off there?
Yeah, I mean, so David Greathouse, who was our main make effects person on the second movie, he did my witches in the Pale Door. Him and Nate Bright, they were able to kind of, we just had green rods and had to kind of attach it at different points. So it was a little tricky, but we made it work.
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
but the actual tricycle and everything was animatronic and remote controlled. So well, not remote, sorry, it was on a loop. So we were able to start that and just let it roll out and do its thing. So that was nice.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it was a challenge, but if it's not a challenge,
yeah,
why are you trying it? Like you
yeah.
shouldn't do just the easy shit. So
But I was up, man. But here you go, guys. Everybody watching right now, showing the 80 love. It doesn't get any more love than this shot. Right?
yeah, yeah.
Welcome to prime time, bitch. Yeah, I mean, come on. This is amazing. Was this difficult setup?
It was the most difficult. That was the most difficult setup in the film because we never we built a TV frame and then had a plastic screen, and then he's standing there, and we've got green screen. He's wearing green pants or blue pants, excuse me, because the
Yeah.
wall's got a little green in it. And then to get like I even have syringes on the fingers and stuff, and like the makeup was kind of melting off his face. And if you watch the close-ups, it is kind of like falling off and stuff. His glasses are getting foggy. I mean, it was so hard to do. But we really did make a rubber thing with a slit hole that he pushes his head through. Yeah, at the
Oh,
top. So like
wow.
that's all practical. He's really pushing his head through that thing. And we could only do it like I think twice total. But the craziest part of all this was because of how long it took to kind of like shoot all these elements to make this even work, all of the actors that are in the room when this is happening are not there at the same time. So like I'm on set. We're doing like the part with like the bees and stuff and everything and
Yeah.
the Wicker Man
Yeah. Yeah.
mask. So I'm over there directing. Then when we have to move a lighting setup or whatever, then I run right to the next room and I'm in here and I'm helping them set this up and getting this ready and
Wow.
approving things. And then I run
Yeah.
back. So I'm like going back and forth. And then the way that we did this was because the actors were doing something else at the same time, I'm literally playing every actor and I'm just yelling back at Sam, and I'm
Oh,
just
all
like,
right.
shut
All
up,
right.
Sam, and giving him eye lines to look around and see. And then and then when we finished for the day, then we couldn't get him back through that makeup again. So then I'm over there playing the TV and then I'm talking to the actors the other way, and then we cut those two together. So
Wow.
it was
Oh, see, it was
definitely tricky.
seamless. Yeah.
I mean, it was hard. It was hard.
Yeah. But
Credit to
yeah,
my editor, Alex Uding, who edited this. He really
nice.
found the way to kind of make that work. Yeah, it was not easy. Yeah, not easy.
Nice. But yeah, man, the movie was a lot of fun. I can't wait for Scare Package 5. That's right. I'm calling it now. We're going to no, fuck it. We're going to 6. We're going to 6. There we go.
We'll take it.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I can't wait for the next one. Both of these movies were a lot of fun, man. But it's Samurai Guy's channel, man. I used to have a poster representing the movie over here. I switch it out. I like to switch my posters out once in a while, but I represented. It was up there framed, baby. And you have a song from this movie in the end credits. And I was like, what? He got Friendship from Miami Connection? What? Oh, man. I sent, when I recorded it on my little phone, because I was watching it, and I sent it to all my buddies, and they were rolling. They were like, no way. I was like, yeah, bro. They're representing one of my favorite movies of all time, Dragon Sound, son.
Yeah.
That's right. So we're brothers, Aaron. We're brothers now.
That's amazing. We were like, I don't know who's gonna like really know this song. I love it. Again, Alex, my editor, he's obsessed with the song. And we have 2 songs, we have 2 songs here. And it was like, that's all we could afford to get. And I was like, we're going to go all in. So actually that song appears in the movie 3 times and people don't quite get that. So actually at the open, it is a Nightmare on Elm Street Dream Warriors. Yeah, that's exactly what that shot is.
What's up, Javon? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I was going to say too, and actually that's Joe Bob. When I made Joe Bob say, "Welcome to Prime Time, bitch," which on the Blu-ray, there's goofs of him, and we're doing that over and over again. All the different takes of him saying "Welcome to Primetime, bitch" is pretty fun. But yeah, like this was a song. This and then the other song which plays during the beer pong sequence, and then right when the credits first start, that is from the movie Rad. And I was like, well,
I knew that sounded familiar. I knew
it. So John Farnham. And so it's like, what movie would be the Rad Chad song? The song from the movie Rad. So there was that.
Yeah.
And then this idea that like Sam and Chad kind of think that these people are friends forever, and what's going on. And so we put it in and I was like, oh my God, we gotta find a way. And thankfully I had a friend and a favor and we were able to pull that off. But the song, the opening, actually, that sequence where it goes into the Jason Lives, eyeball title card.
Yeah.
If you listen to it, that's a cover of Friends Forever.
Oh,
that's a cover of that song of Forever.
All right.
And then when they go in the video store and then the timer turns on, very subtly, diegetically playing in that video store is that song there as well.
Oh, wow.
So that's where it ties in together and you'll hear
rewatchability. See?
Yeah.
I like what Calumity says here. The next one, just call it 6. Just call Scare Package 6 to confuse everyone. Like, where's 3 to 5? That might be hilarious too, actually.
Well, you know what's funny? We have a movie that we want to make that's a werewolf comedy. And I thought about calling it Scare Package 3 Season of the Wolf. And then it has nothing to do with Scare Package, but it's the season of the kind of like Season of the Witch has nothing to do with Halloween.
Yeah.
Oh,
I like that.
So then it's Season of the Wolf, and it's like this is Scare Package 3. Then when we make Scare Package 3, it's actually Scare Package 4. That was the idea.
You got to do that. No, that's brilliant.
I think it'd be fun. It could be confusing for some people, but I think it's really fun. Yeah, it'd be a blast if we could pull it off.
Horror film. For fans,
yeah,
get it. You know what, friend? I'm all day, and hold on.
Oh, I lost it there for a minute, but we're back.
Let me know if we're back. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
we're professionals. We keep going through technical difficulties.
Yeah,
but yeah, like I was saying, man, it was a blast having you here. Like we tell all our guests, Aaron, hey, make this your second home, brother. It's your second home. Oh. You're welcome back at any time, my friend. Welcome back anytime. But don't forget, guys, like Aaron said, in a couple of hours, Sorry About the Demon will be premiering on Shudder. Make sure you guys check it out. It looks hilarious. And make sure you check out all the Shudder originals that we spoke about today, especially Old Man. It's not a Shudder original, but you want to check it out because Slang is straight up gangster. That's right. He's a gangster in it. So Samurai Guy's
That's
got to
on
check
AMC
that out.
Plus, though. Yeah.
Okay, AMC Plus, and don't
Yeah.
forget to also check out the Scare Package movies. That's right. Get some horror anthology, 80s love, badassity in your life. It'll make you smile from beginning to end, and that's what it. That's all. It's all that matters. That's all that matters. So
It
we're
is. I'll
gonna go
take it.
ahead. Yeah, yeah. So again, thank you, Aaron, for being here. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere, Aaron. But all you badasses, thanks for watching. I can speak of the English. I can do this. I need more. I need more vodka. No, I'm just kidding. It's water. It's water. Thank all you guys for watching. For all you new badasses watching, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Old Samurai Guy. And in the description box below, hey, you can follow Aaron. Make sure you follow. That's right. Because I know he's got some new badassity projects coming out in the future. Keep watching horror, representing the genre, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.
Thank you.